What's up, guys? Welcome back to Country Bunkers Trains. Hope you're doing good. As always, a very big welcome to all of the new subscribers. Thank you guys for joining. We've got a pretty good one today. Today's video is a viewer request. The other week, a viewer requested that we do a review on some Menards O gauge structures and buildings. I figured today we would shoot that video. If you guys have been around the channel for a little while, you'll know I am a huge fan of Menards products and accessories. I think it's a great bang for your buck. There are many ways you can go about adding buildings and scenery to your O gauge layout. Hell, the possibilities are almost endless. Some people really enjoy fabricating structures and scenes from scratch and building them from nothing, whereas others, such as myself, enjoy getting pre-made buildings that are basically plug and play and ready to go. All you have to do with these is set them up on the layout wherever you want to place them and run power to them, and as I say, they're basically ready to go. I myself personally find enjoyment by the trains themselves and being able to run them. However, with that said, it does make for a much nicer layout having some buildings, structures, and scenery to play off of the trains. It makes it much nicer versus just having a plain flat table with nothing but the trains on it. There is definitely something to be said for a beautiful high rail layout with custom realistic scenery as well as buildings and structures. They're gorgeous, absolutely jaw-dropping. However, personally, I don't feel I really have the time or the patience to create a beautiful high rail layout, or a realistic high rail layout, if you will. As much as I enjoy it, I don't have the patience. I do enjoy the little bit that I do. However, as I say, I find much more enjoyment out of just running the trains and enjoying the trains by themselves. But that's where these Menards buildings really fit the bill. These structures are beautiful, and as I say, they're quite the bargain. Currently, I have quite the mix of buildings and structures on this layout. I have a mix of Lionel, MTH, Woodland Scenics, Menards, as well as some no-name items from eBay and whatnot. To give you guys an idea on pricing and why I say the Menards structures are such a great bargain, here you can see the Pierogies building as well as the two restaurant buildings in the city behind it. These are MTH buildings. They look good, but they're not super detailed. They're pretty plain. They don't come with figures and stuff like that. But these buildings cost anywhere between $50 to $70. The other buildings you see in the city are Woodland Scenics pieces, as well as these two buildings over here. I'd have to say I think Woodland Scenics buildings are top of the line. These are great structures. Super, super detailed. Scale. As I say, they look amazing. What they do have in looks, they do lack a little in the lighting department. They don't come super bright or come with a ton of lighting, if you know what I mean. But again, they look awesome. These buildings, the two that you're looking at here, cost roughly $180 to $200 a piece. When you compare that, and as I say, they're not very big, obviously, but when you compare that to this Menards hotel over here, a big, huge building, tons of lighting, lots of great detail, all kinds of stuff. This building here was $160. No, not necessarily cheap, but again, this is quite the bargain when you're factoring in with the other buildings and whatnot from other manufacturers. As great as I think these buildings are, and as much as I do enjoy them, of course being on the cheaper end of the spectrum, you can't really have the same expectation with these buildings as you would the Woodland Scenics buildings. I don't even want to know what the price would be on this building if it were a Woodland Scenics building. Probably at least $300 or $400. Like I say, your expectations have to be a little less for these. As great as they do look, they're not, I don't want to say they're not super quality, because I do think they are, but there are corners that are cut. For instance, this little piece up here and this red around the perimeter of the building is basically just paper glued onto the structure itself. When I was dusting it, you can see it's come loose, and I need to re-glue it. Not a huge ordeal or a big problem, but just something to think about and consider. Again, if this was a Woodland Scenics building, like I say, this probably be at least $300 or $400. And I'll go into this a little bit more in depth here in a few minutes. Even with the little issues that these buildings might come with or have, they're still very great pieces. They're super detailed for the price. I don't know if you can see it in the video or not, but the brick on this building looks awesome. The windows and the blinds look great. Most of the buildings come with figures already installed. You see the sidewalks pretty detailed, all kinds of stuff. I don't want to scare anybody away thinking that these are bad pieces, because they're not. As I say, you just got to have a certain level of expectations when getting these. And as long as you're open to tinkering or fixing the little issues that they might have, you'll have no issues. I've never had a problem out of one of these buildings. But with all of that said, let's go ahead and get started. I figured we'd start off with the building we've already been taking a look at, as well as the building that I personally think is what put Menards on the map for O-gauge accessories and buildings. This, of course, is the York Hotel. I remember when this thing came out a few years ago. Everybody loved it, and everybody had to have one, myself included. But it's a gorgeous building. The coolest thing I think about this building, as big and monstrous as it is, it doesn't take up that big of a footprint. It doesn't take up a whole ton of space on the layout, which I think is pretty cool. It even takes up even less real estate if you take the little tunnel porthole out on the back, which I'll show you here in a few minutes. But this building measures 11 inches wide, 11 1/4 inches deep, and 23 inches high. It comes pre-lit, pre-built, and ready to install. Exterior is lit by 25 LEDs, including 4 red LEDs on the roof. As I was mentioning, it's designed to sit over existing track with the built-in tunnel insert, which I'll show you here in a minute. The tunnel insert can be removed or installed for a parking garage on the backside. It has randomly lit interior representing vacant and occupied rooms, 188 windows complete with blinds, gold entry doors and red carpet, includes 4 guest figures, a doorman, and Jack the German Shepherd. The roof features 3 animated turbines that rotate in unison. I'd have to say this is probably my favorite building on the layout. This thing is just awesome. Now, of course, as I was mentioning earlier, there is a certain level of expectations you have to have with these buildings. This building did not come perfect, and it still is not. As I had said, these turbines up here are supposed to move together. However, you can see they're not. When I received the building, I could hear the motor running inside of the building. However, the turbines were not moving. And since then, I've had this building for a couple years. The motor has quit working. It wasn't a deal breaker for me. I wasn't completely worried about it. Yeah, it would have been neat if they worked, but they didn't. Like I say, it didn't warrant enough for me to return it. But again, just having that level of expectation and what you're looking for, just something to think about. Here's a look at the back side of the building, and you can see the parking garage that I was talking about earlier. If you want, you can remove this parking garage insert, and now you can run a train through there. It acts as a little tunnel. I had done this previously, the way the layout was set up before. However, where it's currently sitting, I cannot really run a train through it, so I put the parking garage back on. I think that's a pretty neat feature. Doing this enables it to take up even less space on the layout if desired. Our next building is this beautiful American Materials plant, or tower. I really like this one. This one brings a lot of action to the layout with the animated sign. I picked this one up a couple months ago, this past December. This building measures 6 1/4 inches wide, 5 3/4 inches deep, and 16 1/2 inches high. It has two electronic American Materials animated signs with waving flag lighting pattern, as you can see. Pre-lit with 12 LEDs. Includes 14 material signs, 2 of each material, to label your plant. The roof comes with 2 workers and 4 blinking LED red lights. The interior tunnel measurements are 4 inches wide, 6 inches high, and 5 7/8 inches long. This one retails for $80, $79.99. Again, back to the topic of expectations and pricing, this particular tower did not come with the 14 decals to label it. Again, not a deal breaker for me, and I don't think it takes away from the structure. Another kind of downer on this building, the animated flag has a very loud electronic whine that pulsates as the flag moves. When I first set it up a couple months ago, it was quite annoying. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not on the video, but like I say, it's a very high-pitched electronic whine. Luckily, you cannot hear it with the trains running, and now that it's been here for a couple of months, I've gotten used to it and don't really notice it. However, like I say, when I first set it up, it was pretty annoying. It still kind of is, but like I say, I don't really notice it now. Next up is the UFO scene. This is a pretty cool little piece. I was a little nervous and reluctant on buying one with all of the moving parts and lights due to the issues I had with the other buildings. However, this one's proven to be just fine. It has no issue. I had seen this one several times in the past and thought it was pretty cool, but didn't know if I really wanted one. But once I saw one live and in person at a store, I had to grab it. This scene measures 15 3/4 inches wide, 9 3/4 inches deep, 7 1/4 inches high. Fantastically lit UFO with multicolored LEDs. Animated tractor beam claw picking up a cow with the farmer trying to save the cow. Figures include, as mentioned, a farmer, 4 cows, 3 aliens, and Jack the German Shepherd. Fully landscaped with grass, a shed, 5 trees, and 4 round hay bales. Again, like I say, a really cool little piece. This one retails for about $100. I did see Menards has released recently a M&M's UFO version. I kind of like this original one a little bit better, but the M&M's one is pretty cool. Like I was saying, luckily this one hasn't given me any issues. And this really is a pretty cool piece. As I've mentioned previously, with all the blinking lights, this one's turned the train room into kind of a disco. It brings a lot of action to the layout. Our next building is this wonderful little duplex building. This is another fairly new building to the layout. I really like the lighting on this duplex. It looks great, especially when the lights are off in the train room. This thing looks awesome. I haven't really gotten this building fully placed on the layout yet. It's in the rough area that it will be going. However, as you can tell, it's not 100% installed and ready to go. Although I do light it up once in a while, as you can see. This building measures 14 inches wide, 9 3/4 inches deep, and 7 3/4 inches high. It comes pre-lit, pre-built, and ready to go. Interior illumination and 6 exterior lights. Includes 6 figures, 3 adults and 3 children, and of course Jack the German Shepherd. Additional details include landscape rocks, intricate garage and patio doors, and even window treatments. This one retails for right at $80, which again I think is a pretty good bargain. A great looking building. Next up is the Vetter Sash and Door Building. Another awesome piece. This one too is fairly new to the layout, as well as I believe this is also a fairly recent release from Menards as well. Released just the last few months. This one too is placed on an unfinished part of the layout, as you can see. However, this is where it will be installed. It won't be moving. But I do really like this building. It's another big building that doesn't take up a huge footprint. This one measures 20 inches wide by 11 3/8 deep and 12 inches high. Features 2 rotating exhaust fans and 25 intricate windows, 3 figures, and of course, Jack the German Shepherd. Additional accessories include 2 pallets with doors and windows, 4 dormers, dust collector, and a dumpster. Features weathered and backlit Vetter and Sash door company sign, or signage, 4 LEDs, yard lights, 3 blinking, and a tunnel. This one also, as I was saying, sports a tunnel on the backside for the trains to run through. This enables it to take up a little bit less space on the layout if desired. This one does not have an insert for the tunnel, so it does need to be used. I guess it doesn't need to be used as a tunnel, but that would be preferred. Once again, back to expectations and pricing. This one retails for right at $100. And as I was saying in the description, is described with a backlit sign, the Vetter Sash and Door Company. However, as you can see, it is not backlit on this particular building. The fans are obviously working, however, the motor is quite loud. Hopefully they continue working and we don't have any issues, but yes, the motor is quite loud. But again, with the trains running, you can't hear it. But just something to point out. Be a little transparent, if you will. Next up is the lighted billboard. This is a personal favorite. I really like this one. I bought this one for the decal or the sign that you currently see on it. I found it quite humorous. But anyway, the sign measures 9 inches wide, 2 inches deep, and 9 inches high. It comes pre-built, pre-lit, and ready to go. Includes 26 interchangeable signs or decals that you can place on each side of the sign. 2 workers, a walkway with metal grate texture, ladder, and base. Backlit light source allows billboard to glow from behind the signs or decals. Wood and metal construction with hand-painted details, and a removable base. I don't know if you guys can see it or not on the video, but currently I have the base installed. This is for it to be placed anywhere you want on the layout. If desired, you can remove the base and screw the smaller actual base of the sign to the table and just get rid of the little platform that it's sitting on. But I've left that on, as I do not know if this is where its final placement will be on the layout. This one retails for $20. I think it's a pretty good bang for your buck. I really like this sign. Our last building for the video is this fire-damaged engine shed. Another pretty cool piece. This is an older release from Menards from 2015, I believe. I received this one as a gift last year from my sister. This one sports a charred engine house, realistically painted and weathered to look as if it's been up in flames. It has 2 worker figures, red LEDs in the ground depicting burning embers. Unfortunately, I do not have this one powered up at the moment. I did not have enough plugs to have this one powered up, which I'll go over here in a few minutes. It's kind of hard to get a good shot of this one with where it is placed on the layout. I do apologize. But like I say, a pretty cool piece. As you can see, the roof is missing and or burned out, and some of the bricks on the side of the building have been busted out or are missing. And you can kind of see the burned remnants and ashes all around the building. As I was mentioning about power a few moments ago, the one downside, at least to me, is the way that these buildings get powered. Unlike the other O-scale buildings that traditionally just have wires that you can run to a transformer for power, these require their own barrel jack type power sources with a wall wart. So each building needs to have its own specific plug-in to receive power. These come as a separate sale item. You can buy them just like this with one plug. However, you can also get a bigger wall wart that has 3 plugs to power up to 3 buildings or accessories off of one wall wart. I have heard of people cutting the wires and running the buildings themselves to transformers. However, I have not done so. I'm afraid to do so. As I've mentioned previously, if I ever wanted to sell this stuff in the future or possibly get rid of it, I fear that if I cut the wires, that might hurt the resale value. But that's just me personally. So I don't look to cut the wires to wire them up to a transformer. The one thing I do give Menards kudos to, though, is they offer 2 power sources on the building, or power plug-ins on the building itself. If you're doing a Christmas type layout that's very temporary, it's obviously not a designated layout, and you don't want to drill holes through the table, they offer the power port right here on the exterior of the building that you can just plug right in, and you're good to go. However, if you're placing this on a more permanent layout and you don't plan on the building moving, they also offer a plug-in underneath. So you can drill a hole through the table underneath the structure and power it up underneath the table just as any other accessory on more of a permanent style layout. I think that's a pretty cool thing. But again, personally, I would prefer to see, just bare wiring to be able to hook up to a transformer. But that's just me personally. Of course, that's dependent upon who you ask. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video on the Menards O-Gauge buildings and accessories. As I say, they've got their pros and cons, ups and downs, just like everything else in life. However, I think they're a very worthwhile item for the O-Gauge layouts. I've been very impressed with all of the O-Gauge accessories from Menards, even down to the track. This entire layout is built with Menards O-Gauge tubular track. I did a video on this track a little while ago. If interested, I'll post a link in the description to that video if you would like to view it. But anyways, guys, like I say, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Until next time, guys, my name is Zach, and this is Country Bunkers Trains. Y'all take care. I'll see you the next go-around.